This is my third Intel Arc A770 video. I'm going to be testing 5 games in this one: Red Dead Redemption 2, Horizon Zero Dawn, Divinity Original Sin 2, Fortnight, and StarCraft 2 at various settings: 1440p, 4K, and 1080p. Here we are in Horizon Forbidden Dawn. We're at 4K, and this is ultimate quality, native, so no upscaling. And it looks like it's actually running quite well. 40 FPS is very respectable for a quality like max setting, and 36 for a 0.1% low. This is really good. This is typically what you get on a console when there's two different modes, like a performance and quality mode, where the quality mode, you're still above 30. You're kind of at 45 here. This is actually quite impressive. The same exact ultra quality, but then I just threw on, this is the highest preset again, but I threw on just an ultra quality FSR. So just the lightest FSR, and we've jumped up quite a bit in FPS there. We're up to about 50 here. The game looks identical. I can't notice any difference. This game looks absolutely stunning, especially I'm playing on a 4K OLED. So this is 4K, I guess, max presets with a balanced FSR. It doesn't look as good, I can tell you right off the bat. The trees are a little more fuzzy. It's fine. Yeah, right away quality looks way better. Substantially better. And ultra quality, you can't even tell that it's on. So balanced is a little blurry, and quality here, we're at 60. So quality FSR, max presets, and basically 60 FPS. Okay, so now we have FSR turned off, and we're in kind of the middle setting, which is balanced. So balanced presets, FSR off. And it looks great. 45 FPS. I wouldn't play like this, to be honest. I kind of find this to be in the middle. I think you're better off, based on what I'm seeing here, throwing it on ultra presets and just throwing on the ultra quality FSR. Original presets and ultra quality FSR, and we're well above 60 here. So you could certainly play like this if you want 60 FPS gameplay. Just, I guess, lock it at original and then throw on the ultra quality FSR, which is the mildest FSR. And, we're well above 60 with really good 1% lows at 4K. This is great. So this is Favours performance preset with no FSR. It's basically the same as the original with a very mild FSR, but it looks worse. But if you're really against upscalers, you can just turn it off and play like this. But personally, turning the presets up and then turning on the mildest FSR just look better. And so this is if you really want the highest frame rate, throw it on. This is 4K. Favor performance with just quality FSR. You could put it up to balance, but then it's going to start to get muddy. I find that balanced is pretty muddy for FSR. I don't really like it. Whereas quality looks fine and ultra quality looks exactly the same. So this is how I'm going to play the game. Ultra quality presets and ultra quality FSR. So the best graphics you're going to get basically out of the game, and then just the mildest FSR. We're just below 60, which is, in my opinion, fine. This looks incredible. Okay, so now I've dropped down to 1440p, and this is ultra presets and no FSR, just native. So, you can just basically max it at 1440p, and you don't really need any FSR if you just want to play above 60. We're at 85. It's a little better. The 0.1% lows is really what that just improved. We're up to about 90 over here. And then back over here, we're down to about 75. So at 1440p, if you want your 0.1% lows to be above 60, 1440p original presets, which is basically medium, with ultra quality FSR, so just the mildest. And we're pretty much locked above 100 now. 0.1% lows are above 60, and the 1% lows are well above 60. So, this is going to be a rock solid experience here for those who want to play at a slightly higher refresh rate. So this is favor performance mode. So best performance at 1440p, no FSR. It seems like when you throw on ultra quality FSR, it performs the same as no FSR at the lower presets. So I kind of like the idea of turning the settings up quite a bit and throwing on the mildest FSR. Okay, so now we're at 1080p and we're at best quality presets. So max presets at 1080p, no FSR here. So this is just native 1080p. So for those who have a 1080p screen, I mean, obviously you can just max it. The 1% lows are great. 0.1% lows are really good. This is 1080p on Favours performance. So if you really want to play at, high frames, I guess you could go this route. If you have a high refresh rate 1080p monitor, it looks fine, but it's a little soft and blurry. So 4K Ultra, it's max settings, absolutely everything max. Looks like we're getting 30 frames per second. The 1% lows aren't terrible. So this is a very challenging game at absolute max. This is console. A lot of consoles would play at this level. So this is 4K max settings, which is very impressive, with just quality FSR. Pretty good, 45 FPS. I mean, this is not an easy game. And the game looks absolutely incredible. I'm watching this actually on my OLED screen, my 42C2 OLED, and it's absolutely stunning. Dips down a bit. Yeah. Still not as good as Ultra, but it looks really nice. So 4K high is definitely pretty good. The frame rates look to be quite a bit better than Ultra, so if you want to play natively, it might be better off dropping it to high instead of Ultra. This is playing much better than Ultra. Okay, so here we are at 4K medium, no FSR, just medium settings. Still looks really beautiful, but it actually looked better at Ultra, to be honest. So Ultra with FSR, quality FSR looked better than this does. Now we're basically at 60. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the textures here. So personally, for 4K, I would actually turn the settings up a bit and then just more or less just turn FSR on to make sure the frames. Okay, so this is 4K high with just quality FSR. This is probably how I'd play if you want to play at 4K. This looks great. Quality FSR is not going to really impact any of the image. It still looks super sharp. And it's pretty close to 60 right now. All right, so I just set it to 1440p. This is max settings, Ultra, no FSR. And yeah, this is running really well. Absolute max, 1440p, 70 FPS or so. Okay, so now we're at 1440p on high presets, and versus Ultra, this is much better. This is native, there's no FSR. It's running substantially better. It's running better than Ultra with FSR cranked, basically, so. Still 1440p high settings. So pretty good frame rates here. Personally, I think the game looked better on Ultra with a higher FSR than this. All right, let's turn the settings down. So this is 1080p at medium, so for people who have a 1080p monitor. Tons of frames here, 120. I mean, you could use FSR, but I wouldn't. So this is how I think I'm going to play this game. It's 4K, because I have a 4K screen. And then I have textures set to ultra, so the textures are absolutely maxed, obviously, so everything looks beautiful. And then every other setting is just high. So it's basically high settings, but with ultra textures, just to really get everything to look quite sharp. And then I just have Quality FSR on. And you can see here it's playing above, well above 50. Okay, so here's Divinity Original Sin at max settings, 4K. This is a DirectX 11 game, which I've read online. People have, have had hit and miss with Arc, but the drivers have come a long way, obviously. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to test this game before the Arc drivers started getting a lot better. It says the 0.1% low is quite low, but I'm not seeing any drops at all. Again, this is 4K Ultra. I've actually never played this game at such high settings before, and it's quite beautiful. I played it at 1440p as a max, so this is really, really nice. Now we're at medium, and we're way up there at 100. So I guess if you have a 4K 120 hertz screen like I do, and you really want to push those frame rates, you're getting closer to 120 FPS by being at 100 here. But personally, it's not that kind of game in my opinion. Just go ultra. This is 4K at absolute max presets, epic presets or whatever they're called. So I guess max, the max the game can get. I'm probably just going to basically be running around dying. Looks like I have a pickaxe for some reason. But yeah, 85 FPS. Can I get on this thing? Nice. 85 FPS on epic presets or whatever. And the 0.1% lows are 30. I don't know if that's good or bad. Probably not that great, but I mean, this is 4K epic. Okay, this is high presets. Same thing, 4K. So rather than like epic or whatever it was, now it's high. The frame rate has jumped up quite a bit. We're well over 100 now. So 4K over 100. The 1% lows are also really, really high, 90. The 0.1% lows are pretty low. Okay, so now we're on medium presets, even higher FPS. This is still 4K. Seems like that 0.1% low is always kind of super low. It could be when I load in, because I don't see any hitching like at all in this game, like whatsoever. So maybe, I don't know, maybe when I load it in or something. But this is now set to low, but it's still 4K. So if you really want high frame rates on a 4K screen, but you still want to run at native 4K rather than lowering the resolution and getting some blur, this looks quite playable. 1440p on epic. So basically max presets for 1440p. So if you have a 1440p high refresh rate monitor, like 120 or 145 hertz or whatever, 165 hertz, looks like you can just pretty much max it. So for 1440p gamers, it looks like you're pretty good here. We're at 1440p medium. So if you just want to, if you have a 165 hertz refresh rate instead of 120, and you kind of want to max out that 1440p 165 hertz, this works well. The 1% lows are really good, and the 0.1% lows have finally dropped down a ton. So for 1440p, if you're playing this on a high refresh rate monitor like 165 hertz, looks like medium, you're really going to be able to get quite good performance here. So this is 1440p lowest presets. So I guess for like ultra refresh rate gamers. This is 1080p on Epic, so basically max, but 1080p, so for 1080p gamers. So this is now 1080p on lowest presets, so I guess for like ultra high refresh rate gamers, people who are I guess competitive would probably play like this. 250 frames per second, 1% lows at 200-ish, 190 to 200, and 0.1 at 165. So okay, so here we are in StarCraft 2. This is 4K Extreme, which is basically max presets. I haven't played this game in an extremely long period of time. I've just picked an arbitrary mission from before. Okay, so this is basically medium settings at 4K. I just dropped it down a couple tiers. The 1% lows, 0.1% lows seem to be about the same. The 1% lows went up, sort of the frame rate. I don't think it really matters. I mean, if I played this game, I'd probably just play it at 4K max. Okay, so this is 1440p now, max. You can see the frame rate has shot up quite a bit. We're up to almost 200 FPS. Those 0.1% lows are still kind of low, but looks like the 1% lows are still over 100. So for high FPS gamers, if you're at a 1440p, it looks like you can probably just max it. All right, so now this is 1080p with extreme presets, so basically maxed. And seems to be running really well, almost closer to 1440p on medium. Okay, so now we're into this crazy mission at 4K, absolutely max again, extreme. And let's see if we can take the frame rate. It's obviously going to drop down when this door blows up, but so this is basically the highest you can possibly get, 4K and absolutely maxed. I mean, it's totally playable. So I mean, if you have a 4K screen, it looks like you can just max it. Red Dead Redemption ran quite well at 4K, however when the settings were at Ultra it was running only reasonably well at 35-40 FPS. Personally, the way I would run the game at 4K is I would leave the textures at Ultra, but I would turn all of the rest of the settings down to either high or medium, and then just throw on the mildest FSR. And that way you're getting really beautiful textures, but you're still getting over 60 FPS gameplay, and that's a really great compromise. At 1440p, Red Dead Redemption ran quite well, and you can pretty much just max it and throw on the mildest FSR, and you're good to go. You don't need to fiddle with the settings too much. Horizon Zero Dawn ran exceptionally well at 4K. On the highest presets, it ran closer to 45 FPS at most times, which is quite good for the highest presets. However, if you lower the settings down quite a bit, you can get closer to 60 FPS without any FSR. However, the way I would play Horizon Zero Dawn at 4K is to just put it at the highest presets and then put on the mildest FSR, and it plays quite well, close around 55 FPS, which is really acceptable for the highest visual fidelity you can get. At 1440p, once again, you can pretty much just max it and play the game. If you want to get the highest frame rates, again, you can throw on the mildest FSR. Divinity Original Sin ran extremely well overall. There was no problems with that at 4K. You can pretty much just max the game. Fortnight really depends on how you play the game. Personally, if I were to play it, I would just play it at 4K and probably on a medium setting, and it seemed to run extremely well, and the 0.1% lows were nice, but you can certainly max it and still get good gameplay. However, if you are concerned about the 0.1% lows, you may want to minimize it down to the lowest settings. On 1440p and 1080p, once again, you can pretty much just max it and get excellent gameplay. However, I suspect that because this is a FPS competitive game, people may want to play on medium or lower settings just to get those really high frame rates. StarCraft 2 was kind of just a test of an older title to make sure it was compatible. It ran perfectly fine with absolutely no issues whatsoever. The performance was great. At 4K, 1440p, and 1080p, it ran perfectly fine.